and then rolled the car when I had my seatbelt off, when he thought I had it off. And when that didn't kill me, I was life flighted to Salt Lake City University Hospital, where they did a surgery on my neck, but they also made other incisions that had nothing to do with my neck. And they put microchip implants into my body at the same time that they did this surgery. I was then forced, after I flew back to Sherwood, Oregon, where I lived with my parents then. I was then, 3 months later, upon recovering, still in the middle of recovering, I was forced to work for employees for a microchip semiconductor company. It was Intel. And the woman later, all I knew was that she was a lawyer. Nobody asked me if I wanted the job. I was told I had to work for them. I asked her later at a different time what kind of work she did, like what sort of legal work, and she told me she worked for top secret programs dealing with intellectual property for Intel, for a microchip semiconductor place. I didn't think anything of it at the time. I did think something about being forced to work for her and why. Why no one asked my opinion. I was 21 years old. I had a right to choose my work for myself, but I wasn't allowed to choose. And after almost working for her for a year, after I'd healed mainly from the neck surgery, I was then being observed for research that they were doing on me. They began torturing me by deliberately triggering and trying to cause migraines through remote technologies, whether it's military or NASA, I'm not sure. But the hospital that did the implantation of me received, upon successful demonstration of what they had done with me, they then received an enormous grant from NASA and the Department of Defense to become that first region's telesurgery center. Telesurgery is basically being able to access a patient's body and do things to it, typically in order to heal it. But it includes robotic technology and other kinds of energy-directed technologies, and it enables a doctor or a person to do different procedures from a distance. They don't have to be there with the patient. And basically, while they got this large grant to do telesurgery, they were basically engaging in teletorture of me. They also received a bunch of money in addition, enough for them to be able to buy 15 new properties, including very large medical facilities and buildings that they used. They got all of this money in 1996. My surgery was in 1995. How I discovered that I had microchips implanted was not immediate. It came about gradually, and I've discussed some of that in my blog. I don't want to go into all of it right now, but I'm just putting my face to this to say that I am being tortured. They're not letting up at all, and I have more than enough evidence to prove that this country has engaged in state-sponsored torture. They've engaged in state-sponsored hate crimes and in defamation, and they have ruined my life and my son's life ever since he was born, and my life for the last almost 2 decades. Anything that I could have done, any potential that I had, was stolen. There were so many things I could have done. babysit a bunch of the federal government employees' children. And then they stole my own son from me after I put all that work into their kids. I was obstructed from justice by my own country. I was obstructed from justice by the Department of Justice, which really has endeared this country to me. They later, at some point, tried to use me and haul me into their working for them, working for the government, and I have no interest. Before I knew everything that had been done to me and who's responsible, I actually had wanted to work for the government in some way, for public service. And after having uncovered a lot more information, there's no possible way that I can conscientiously, in good faith, work for a country that has kidnapped my son, tortured me on a daily basis, tortured my son on an almost daily basis, and tried to deny everything and call me crazy at the same time. They've obstructed my ability to travel. They have obstructed justice, including both lawsuits that I had to file to protect my reputation. They lied about me. They allowed their federal workers and agents to rape me. And then they tried to use me for their own research while they didn't pay me anything. They had me living as a homeless person deliberately. They stripped me of any ability to work, go to college, have housing. I had the ability to have, there was nothing wrong with me. I was competent to be able to access all those things. There's nothing wrong with me. I never had a breakdown. Nothing ever happened to me mentally to prevent me from being able to achieve different goals. What happened is they began to use their resources to torture me, to keep me from doing anything productive, and then they chased me around and had me living from one military place to the next. And then I finally started to figure out that this was state-sponsored and my country was behind it, when they began taking me to federal sites and actively used me for research. And they had me at U.S.-owned government sites. And that's when I couldn't deny that this country was engaged in criminal crimes against me. I'm trying to get through when some of this began and the kind of motives that were behind it with the FBI and perjuring or prejudicing me and slandering me in their internal records. And I might redo this clip because I know I look terrible and I wasn't expecting to do this. I have this eye also going droopy because they've been torturing me to the side of my face all day and all night. And I'm starting to have sort of a stroke-like effect to my eye. But if I don't make it in the sense of being able to make a different video clip where I have some makeup on and look halfway presentable, then I might use this one in addition to some clips that I made yesterday to go over what the FBI has done and is responsible for, which I will continue talking about today if I can. I want an investigation. I need somebody who is not part of this country to please come and examine me, to examine my son independently. There's not a doctor in the United States that's trustworthy. I've never met one. They have all colluded to toe the line for this country. In my opinion, this is the most criminal country and most sophisticated at covering up their crimes in the world. They've made probably a lot of money off of me. And in return, I've made nothing. I've received nothing. I've had my everything taken from me. I don't have retirement. I don't have savings. I have compensation for nothing. And there's no reason why I couldn't have been very successful. I was on the way to being very successful. They used torture to keep me from doing that. There was never an American dream for me. There will never be an American dream for me or for my son. I don't trust this country with my child as far as I can throw this country, which obviously is not going to be any distance at all. I want complete compensation for my child. I want my son returned to me. He was fraudulently taken. There was never a CPS case that held any water. It was a sham to cover up and conceal U.S. crimes of kidnapping and use of a child for more military intelligence programs in the CIA. The FBI has been complicit in all of it. They cover up. You would think that they investigate this kind of thing. They don't. They have a history of being the bouncers and covering up for these kinds of programs. My parents have been working for the government for a very long time. I don't believe that they've always voluntarily worked for the government. That's all I have to say for right now. And I went out. And I'm basically trapped because I can't leave without having a sufficient amount of money to be able to successfully and safely go to a different country.